Cuphead is interesting, to say the least. It's a visual delight, a nostalgia callback to an aesthetic that's not been used in a long time. A lovely, polished, hand-drawn look with over-the-top animation, giving its ridiculously diverse and imaginative cast of characters bags of personality, despite most of them never doing anything but trying to mercilessly kill you on repeat. And it's that mercilessly kill you on repeat that I really want to focus on today, because every time I hear the intro voice line to a boss fight in Cuphead now, I swear to God I have trauma from it. It's not funny.
This match will get red hot. You're up.
Because if you feel like you've not been the nicest person recently, or you feel like you deserve a bit of a punishment, then I would recommend you play this game, because it's awful to you, but it's awful so good. It's so anger inducing, but it rages so fine.
And I really want to make you mine.
And it's that refreshing difficulty that has me staying up all night saying, just one more try. My life is ruined until I beat this boss. That I want to talk about, because how hard is too hard? Ladies, stop typing. I'm talking about gameplay. Oh, that was so terrible. Oh, no, what even, okay. So, I want to really get at, it's almost like the reason people watch scary movies, right? Because being scared isn't it's not a positive emotion, yet people enjoy inflicting upon them. It's like when you're sad and you listen to a sad song because, well, that extra sadness, it's so sad, but it's so good, you know? You get addicted to a certain kind of sadness. I don't know what's with the song references today, but I think that's very much the same deal with difficult to the point of games. And what I want to discuss is whether Cuphead stays just on the side of fairly pleasantly difficult, or ekes just too close to this is bullshit and I hate myself for continuing to play it, because I think it's very close one way or the other. And don't get me wrong, the entire experience of the game in general is great. The world is ridiculously fun to just be in. The story is really quite good. Everything on display is just a feast for your eyes, as I said at the beginning, and it's really well controlled, and it is just a satisfying thing to play when things are going correctly. But it's been a long time since something has threatened my desk with holes shaped suspiciously like my fist. And is that a good thing? Is that a positive experience? I mean, you could argue it is, right? Because for something to elicit that kind of emotional response, you, by definition, have to be intrinsically connected and involved with it. If you didn't care, if it wasn't making you feel like you need to beat it, then you wouldn't be getting mad. So if it can actually connect with you in that way and make you put so many self-imposed stakes on this boss needs to die, or I cannot go to sleep tonight, then that's a cool thing for a game to be able to do to you. But at the same time, it's very easy to see why a game eliciting that response for you could definitely be considered negative. Hell, we had the controversy with the critic who couldn't get past the tutorial after 15 minutes and resulted in a huge discussion of whether games journalists should at least be, decent at games to review them. And, well, I think I would ultimately end up on the side of you need to be okay-ish, you need to be able to beat the game on a difficulty. It's not really something I want to crack down with now, because there are a lot of valid points on both sides of the discussion, but I really want to talk about my personal experience, and this dragon boss in particular very much does it, because I think the way that a game elicits this response is when it's not at least doesn't appear to be a purely skill-based challenge. Because phase 2 of this fight has little fire guys that crouch down, make a noise, and then jump, and if they collide with you, you take damage. The issue I was having, and it could quite well be because I'm trash, is that I could not work out for the life of me, even now, whether they jump randomly, they jump to where you are when they launch, they jump to where you were when they started to crouch. I have no idea, and I've spent hours and hours on this boss, which is really cool, by the way, to have a game actually spending hours on bosses. This game is 100% harder to me than anything in the Souls series ever was already, and I love that so much. But then again, I've always found platformers harder in general, so that's probably a personal thing. But the point is, I could not for the life of me work out what governs the mechanics of the little flame jumpers, and that was really starting to get to me, because I felt no matter how well I was playing, this phase was just kind of a crapshoot, and I was hoping for the best, and that started to really get under my skin. Where was he going? Do they aim at me or do they not? And why did he go up there? I was not stood there when he jumped.
One eternity later.
How did he not die there?
Who can say where the road goes, where the day flows, only time. And who can say if your love grows?
And I think very much you get to a point where you either have brutally difficult but predictable and plannable mechanics, or you have lesser difficulty but more randomness. When you start to combine both, you end up with an infuriatingly addicting feedback loop of just one more go, hopefully this time it doesn't screw me. And I guess the point is that an artificial way to keep someone engaged? To basically emasculate them into feeling like they're an utter trash tier player to the point they simply cannot put the controller down until they either break the boss or break it. And that's something I find very interesting, and it's something I would love to hear a little bit from you guys about. I mean, any of you that have played this, how are you finding it? I do, you know, completely objectively now, I'm not in the heat of the emotional roller coaster of playing this boss. I do think it's an absolutely fine boss. It's really, I mean, as it comes down to it, me, of course it is. I needed to get good, but in the heat of the moment, that's not really what you're thinking, is it? And I don't know, I mean, obviously it comes down to the temperament of the person playing. That's always gonna be a factor, but I think that essentially what I'm saying is, whether it's good or bad, and that's something I'd love to get you guys in on, I think it's very cool to play a game that can elicit any kind of strong emotional response, because I think a lot of the time too many games just blend into the background of, this is fun, and that's about it. But when a game truly makes you feel sad, excited, elated, relieved, you know, really connects to you in the same way a really well done film or book would, even if it is in the form of blinding hot rage, then you really have something quite cool on your hand. And the last time I felt at least some kind of strong emotional response for a game was Witcher, and in that case it was quite a mix of things. So I don't know what that says about it, but there you have it. So what are your anger experiences like with games? Do you just stop, or do you keep trying to push through the wall? Do you take a break and come back? Because I think dealing with it is always the way to go. But I took a break for a while, came back, and I had another go with a fresh head on, and managed to actually beat the dragon, which is what you're seeing, and that's really cool. And essentially, you might not know what the rest of the game is, but effectively it's this. You walk around an overworld map, and you just do boss fights. There's an occasional run and gun, you know, more classic platformer level, but they're really few and far between. It's essentially a series of really creative, intense, difficult boss fights back to back that are incredibly rewarding when you beat them, coupled with really good controls and an absolutely stellar art style that is supremely unique to it, and just gives this huge vibe of, I just love seeing everything I'm seeing. The amount of times I have uttered the phrase, "What the fuck is happening? What is that? What is... what?" Is just fantastic to me. It really is. And I'm sure you're seeing it with the dragon. Just everything it's doing and how everything looks is so wonderful. And I guess ultimately then, to answer the question, I think Cuphead is somehow actually on the line. I'm going to err on the side of I simply don't understand the game well enough, and it's not actually bullshitting me in any way, because most of the game feels like a really fairly balanced, if brutal, but, you know, fairly approachable challenge, and I think a lot of this just comes from a lack of understanding and my competitive nature bubbling forth in a "why do I suck at this? I need to not suck," which then manifests itself to the which... I don't know, the more I think about it, and is this bad, but I kind of like when a game makes me really angry to beat it. At least this kind of angry. The kind of angry where most of it is turned on myself and not being good enough to beat it. I feel like there's almost a high to that. I don't know if you guys have ever experienced it, but I think it's kind of there, and I think Cuphead strikes an almost imperceptible balance that I don't think you could ever set out to achieve, honestly. It's gotta be sheer happenstance, but it really does create, at least in me, the challenge that is just fair enough while having just a hint of "this is bullshit," that makes me feel the good kind of rage. And I don't know, I like that, and it is very rare. So A+ to you, Cuphead. Let me know, guys, if you'd like to see more stuff in this style, talking about my experiences and gaming discussion here and things like that, because I do kind of want to branch out a little bit. I think it's time, you know, I think it is time, and just some more Cuphead in general, to be fair. But for now, my name has been Rage. Like you've enjoyed this, subscribe for more, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.
Rage gaming with the video flow, shenanigans and Overwatch, and his fans all know that every single thumbnail that this man makes without fail makes you do a double take, catching your attention with every verse. See, say that you need healing, but you're at his mercy. Get it? Cause it's a pun. On his channel, that's one of the better ones. Widow is venomous, I see no end to this. Cataclysm's imminent when Rage is in his element. Pandemonium is not familiar with irrelevance. Maximum Genji beam, oh so elegant. Jokes so funny, causing you to cry. Editing is quality as the noon is high. Yo, concussion man, shoot to the sky. Cap it all off with a goodbye.